Namaste. I'm Marianne and I wanted to share a yoga sequence with you today that is a compilation of some of my favourite yoga poses. So if you've got a yoga brick, grab it. A yoga strap would also be handy. If you haven't got a yoga brick, you could use a book, or instead of a yoga strap you could use a towel or a scarf if you don't have one. So let's start by placing our hand on our heart center and our belly, and we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Beautiful. That begins to center us ready for our asana practice. I want to start today by introducing you to a mantra that you may have heard before, but perhaps haven't understood why it's used. I'm going to do the Om Shanti 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 mantra. A mantra is a mind tool. The front of the word man means mind and tra means tool. So a translation is mind tool. And when we say Shanti 3 times, it's an invocation of peace to 3 states of consciousness: our waking, dreaming and sleeping. So invoking peace is always a great way to start any yoga practice. So you can join me or you can just listen as I chant my mantra. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Okay, and now we're ready to begin our asana practice. So get comfortable in the center of your mat. Place your right hand on your left knee and simply turn and look over your shoulder. Turn only as far as is comfortable for you. And release. We're going to hold each pose for about a count of 5. Now we're doing the opposite side. Left hand on right knee. And release. Place your left hand on the mat. Raise your right arm up and tilt your torso to the left, ensuring that you keep your right sit bone on the mat. So it's a tilt of your body from the hips, just hinging to the left. And release, and do the other side. Remember that left sit bone stays on the mat. You don't have to tilt very far to be able to feel this one stretching. Great job. Now we're going to lift our right leg and place it either in clasped hands, or if you're more flexible you can place the foot in the crease of your elbow. And we're simply going to hold that with a straight back and neck, keeping that neutral spine position. And then give it a rock side to side for that count of 5. Beautiful. And now the other leg. Clasped hands or in your elbow and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. And then rock to side. 4 and 5. Release. Now we're going to use our yoga strap. You can stay in your seated position, But I'm going to turn around so that you can see what I'm doing with my hands while I do this. We're going to lift our arm up, holding the yoga strap, fold it behind our head, and reach up with the other arm and hold the strap. Inch your fingers closer together and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Place the yoga strap in the opposite arm, lift it up, fold it behind your head, and repeat on the other side. Inching those hands together and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. You can now choose to do this without the strap if you'd like to try. I will demonstrate how we bind hands, or you can continue using the strap if you prefer. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. And now the other side. Making sure your head and neck and spine are in one line. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Great job. We're now going to move our right foot out to the corner of our mat. We will have the sole of our left foot on our inner thigh, and turn your torso so that your hips are pointing towards your right leg. Raise your arms up, hinge from the hips into a slight forward tilt. Lower your arms to the leg. Now take a deep inhale and tilt further forward to deepen the stretch, keeping your back straight as you can. Good job. And release. Now take the left leg to the left corner of the mat so that you're in a wide leg seated pose. Now your arms come up and hinge forward. When you have hinged as far forward as is comfortable, lower your hands to the floor and hold. Now take a deep inhale and deepen the stretch. And another deep inhale and hinge further forward. And release, slowly walking the hands back in towards the hips. Bring your right leg in so that the sole of the foot is against your inner left thigh. Arms up, hinge forward, lower the arms to hold the leg, and hold. Deep inhale, and deepen the stretch as you exhale. And release. Great job. We're going to place our right palm on the mat beside us. Bend that left leg and simply roll to come up into table position. In table position, your wrist, elbow and shoulder should be in one line, and your hip should be directly above your knee. We're now going to raise our right arm and left leg and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Raise your left arm and right leg and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Great job. Walk your hands back and come up into a kneeling position. You're now going to step your right leg out to the edge of your mat, about a foot length from the front of the mat. We then place our palms flat on the mat, tuck our toes, lift our body, and come into lizard pose for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the knee to the mat. Walk that foot in a little so that it's now directly in front of your hip. Place your hands on your knees. Lean in until your knee is directly above the ankle and hold that low lunge. Feel the stretch into your hip flexor. Beautiful job. And come back to your kneeling position. Take your left leg out to the edge of your mat, 1 foot length from the end of your mat. Place your palms flat, tuck your toes, and come up into left lizard. Lower the knee to the mat. Walk that foot in front of the hip. Lean in until the knees above the ankle, hands on your knees, and feel that low lunge stretch. Great, now come back. Bring your foot about halfway back towards your body and come up into a forward fold and hold. Now, raise your arms up above your head and release. We're now going to raise. You can stay facing the way you are, or you can turn as I am so that you can see what I'm doing. Raise your left leg onto your left side of your calf, arms up above, and hold for tree pose. If you're more flexible, you can move that foot up to your inner thigh, but we don't place it on the knee because we don't want to strain that joint. And release. Now raise the right leg and hold. And release. Great job. We're now going to clasp our hands in front of us, turn them to have palms facing out, raise them above your head and tilt from the hips and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to center. Now tilt to the left for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to center and release. We're now going to place our thumbs on our sacrum, and as we bend our back to arch back, keep the hips over the knees and the ankles. And release. Great job. Take a step back, turn to the side of your mat with a wide stance. Turn your toes to point to the ends of your mat. Have your prayer arms ready and then lower into goddess pose for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Walk the toes in, then walk the heels in, and now lower into garland pose for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the hands to the floor. Come up into a forward fold. Now widen the stance just a little. Hold the toes and lower your head as close to the mat as you can get it, keeping your back straight so you've hinged from the hips. Great job. Place your hands flat on the floor and walk them round to the end of the mat turning your feet as you go. Release the leg and come into plank pose for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower your body, suspending it, holding it up with the palms and the toes touching the mat for upward facing dog. Then lower to the mat with your legs, micro bend in the elbow and hold for cobra. Now just shuffle a little further back on your mat if you need to. Come down into Sphinx pose with your elbows directly beneath the shoulders. Great job. And release to the mat. Take a deep breath. Arms now forward. We are going to raise our arms and legs into Superman pose. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Now bring your arms beside your torso. You can either hover the arms here, or you can clasp them behind your back and come up into locust pose. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release gently. Now come back up into Sphinx pose for a second. Reach back and catch your left foot. Then reach back and catch your right foot. Move your hands to the inner aspect of your feet, holding the arch. Raise your body and your legs and come up into bow for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower and release. Come back down to the mat and rest for 2 deep breaths. Place your palms next to your chest. Push up and come into table pose. We're now going to arch our back up and look at our navel to go into cat pose. Now reverse the arch, look up at the wall in front of you for cow pose. Great job. And cat and cow. Good job. Raise your left arm out to the side, curve it through for thread the needle and hold. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Push up. Now do that with your right arm. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Push up. We're now going to take our left arm up into the air, twist your torso, and look at your thumb and the ceiling. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Right arm up. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. We're now going to raise our right leg at 90 degrees and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Bring it in and try and touch your forehead to your knee for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Raise your left leg at 90 degrees for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Forehead to knee for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Take a deep breath. Walk your hands back in towards your knees and come up into a kneeling pose. Ensure that your knees are directly below your hips. Place your thumbs on your sacrum. Arch your back, keeping your hips above your knees. Release. Now we're going to do camel pose. If you're new to this, you can have your toes tucked under to raise your heels up. If you're experienced with this one, you can have your feet flatter on the floor. We're going to place our thumbs on the sacrum, arch back, and then reach down to hold the heels or the ankles, keeping your hips as far as possible forward above the knees. And release. Great job. Place your palms flat on the mat, and we're going to do cat and cow, cat and cow. Now tuck your toes and raise up into downward facing dog. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bend your knees, walk your hands in, and find yourself in a forward bend. If you cannot reach the mat with your palms, you can hold your ankles or your calves, whatever's comfortable for you. Raising your arms up, come to a standing mountain pose. Now take a big step forward. Ensure that your left toes point towards the corner of the room. Your knee is above your ankle. Your hips are facing the front of your mat. Arms up for mountain pose. Open the arms. Your hips will now be open towards the corner of the room, and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Step back into mountain pose. Take your left leg forward and repeat that on the opposite side. Knee above ankle, hips facing the wall in front, arms up for warrior 1. Release the arms to the side. The hips are now open to the corner of the room, and hold. And come back into mountain pose. We're now going to raise our arms as we squat down into chair pose, keeping your knees behind the toes. They don't go past the toes. And release. Great job. Now raise your right leg, flex the top foot, and lift it as high as you comfortably can. And release. And now do that on the left. And release. Take a large step forward, turn to the side of your mat. Now point the toes outward and lower into goddess pose. Raise the heels and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Bring the toes to face the side of your mat. Forward fold, hands on the mat. Now walk round to our plank pose again. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release the knees to the ground, into table pose. Cross your legs, come back into a seated position. You're now going to place your feet flat on the mat, hip distance apart. Your palms behind you on the mat with the fingers facing your buttocks and raise up into reverse table for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Great job. Now we're going to do a boat pose in which you rock back until you're sitting on the tripod of 3 bones that are available in your pelvis. Lift your legs, have your arms parallel for half boat. And release. Take your yoga strap, wrap it around your right foot under the ball of the foot, and just slowly lower into a reclined position. Hold your leg up above as straight as you can. If you can only get to here, that's okay. If you need a bend in the knee, that's okay. Do what works for you. Now slowly lower that leg to the side as far as you can go with your muscles, or if there's a wall next to you. And hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Bring your left foot up, place it in the strap, and lower the right leg. Now hold the left leg for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower that to the side for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. And take the strap off and set it aside. You won't need the strap again. Now place your soles of your feet flat on the mat, your hands beside your hips, and raise your hips into bridge pose. If your feet are too far away, you can bring them in a little and try again. And release. Now grab your yoga block, come up a little bit, and place it between your shoulder blades. And hold for supported fish pose. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift your left leg, roll towards the right, remove the yoga block, and come down into corpse pose. Now I want you to hold corpse pose for 10 minutes to finish this yoga sequence. Reflect on this yoga sequence and how it felt for you, what you might change next time you complete the sequence. When you finish your 10 minutes in corpse pose, I encourage you to go to my blog, curvystrongfit.blogspot.com, where you can download the printable yoga sequence for this class, and then you'll be able to complete it at home anytime you like. And I encourage you to hold it for slightly longer each time. Thanks for joining me.